Hello, dear friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, and my team and I of non-diet dietitians provide trauma-informed care so that you can feel safe in your own skin and have agency over being your own nutrition expert. So I'm going to ask you all to hang in there with me, because I think this this video is going to be a little bit complex, and it's not designed to be that way. It's just that I like to go deep and I want to be nuanced. Don't want to waste your time. I want you to have a space in a community where you can go beyond like diets don't work, even though we need to hear that repetition. We need to hear that message 1,000 times a day if we need to not romanticize the past of how great weight loss is, because there's some ease to it, of course, in our culture, but it never really fixes what our heart's aching for anyway, right? And it hardly ever, if never, improves our physical health. But we do it anyway because it's easier. All right. And so this is what this video is about. I was like, how come it's so much easier? And I'm going to use an example of the scale. But before I get into that, just one quick little segue is I want to thank you all. I put a post up yesterday about barriers, and I saw you all be really vulnerable and share what was going on for you. And I did put some comments back there for you. But also I saw the other of y'all's who maybe are a little bit further on in the journey. Take the time to see somebody else be vulnerable, like maybe we once were, and just take 5 minutes to really offer someone some love and care and support. So I really appreciate you. It's a shout out to all y'all who see somebody else be vulnerable and you encourage them and you suggest that they keep hanging in there. You're on the right track. Keep going forward. Dig deeper. Thank you for doing that for each other. That's what a community is, right? That you take the time when you see that there's something going on. You don't just scroll past it, or, sometimes, heart and a hug and all those things is perfectly fine, right? But when you actually take the time to support somebody else's vulnerability, that's what building safety in relationship is about. So even if you never meet each other, thank you for doing that. I just want you to know that I appreciate you doing that and seeing that in a space where it's just easy to scroll and be dissociative and not take a minute. So I appreciate you for doing that. So it's so much easier to make the body the problem. So much easier to make the body the problem because we may have been in so many situations in our histories where there was just, you didn't have any say. And this goes back to the relational misattunement things and all the generational neglect and the lack of protection that, again, our people didn't get protection, so they didn't offer us protection. Again, it's definitely the stuff around diet culture, this idea that you have to be thin to be lovable and to belong and all those kind of things. And when you've got wounding there and you don't have protection there, it's just easy to make it about yourself. That's what youngsters do, is that we are self-focused because we just don't have the cognitive maturity yet and the conscience maturity yet to be able to big picture our situations. So it's easier to make things our fault. So I have some notes because I wanted my thoughts to be clear for you today. Is that oftentimes it's so much easier to blame the body than it is to grieve the fact that you weren't protected, that you were hurt, that either you were hurt by the mistakes of commission, somebody did something bad to you around your food and body, and there's no repair, or the mistakes of omission, which is like people may have saw it happen and they didn't do anything about it or they went along with it. And that is really just excruciating. That shame is difficult. Sometimes we spend our whole lives avoiding it. We have to grieve, basically, the things that we were and were done and weren't done, so that we can grow our capacity, so we can move on, and so we don't have to feel so triggered. But oftentimes when people say, I don't deserve to grow, to learn, to be well, to connect in safe relationship. And oftentimes that resistance to taking the time to get the groceries, to putting the effort to not getting on that scale when you feel internally, physically uncomfortable. The reasons we don't resist those things and we resist the care is because we feel like we don't deserve it, because all that helpless feeling of feeling shame and no repair, and we don't know how to grieve it, so we just get into survival mode and move on. And the default strategy is, it's my fault. It's my fault that the number on the scale is higher. I did something wrong with my food to have these sensations I don't like, or these emotions I don't like. We make things our fault. Why do we do that? Because it feels like it makes us in control. If things are my fault, then the things I do to myself are not due to myself. I'm in control of the either the pain or lack of pain I feel. And then, therefore, maybe I can fix it. It's a lot harder. It's so much easier to do that than it is, you know what? I couldn't do anything about that situation 40 years ago, 10 minutes ago. It's hard for us as humans to want to feel our powerlessness and to grieve that situation, and maybe even to grieve the ways in which we were thrown under the bus, the ways in which we abandoned ourselves. Because it feels like at the end of the day that, like, if we really reach and basically stick our necks out there in relationship to maybe get some support or try something new, and it doesn't go well, it's just easier to blame ourselves than, like, to feel that pain. And sometimes the shame that comes with that pain of, like, if I was just better, they wouldn't have treated me this way. We don't want to deal with rejection. Nobody wants to feel the feelings that we haven't dealt with being rejected. We don't want to be rejected again. And so we make up this meaning. Our brains are meaning-making organs, right? That if I just eat the right food and look the right way, or actually just be invisible, that I won't get rejected again. So you see how blaming the body is just, it just seems easier, because it's a very, like, it seems like it's a black and white solution to complex issues. And so my encouragement today is that actually maybe what would it be like when you hear, like, I don't deserve to eat that because I hopped on the scale and the scale was 2 pounds more, and so I should, like, do all the finagling with your day, not have dessert or skip breakfast or whatever we're doing, or try to legitimize the next diet you're considering doing because your friends are doing it right now or whatever. It's easier to do all that than just to grieve. Grieve the losses of relationship. Grieve the rejections. Grieve that maybe you had a part in some of that. Grieve that you didn't have a part in any of that. And it's like, it's just nothing you did wrong. So I know this all seems like a lot, but I think it's so important. And it goes with the theme we've had these last couple days here, is that what are our barriers? Sometimes the barriers are complex. I'm in denial. I get on the scale, and that makes me feel like I'm in control. I can do something about it. What are you trying to do something about? It's way deeper than that number on that piece of metal. It's easier to make things your fault. It's easier to go into self-condemnation than it is to, like, do the balanced middle thing, right? Which is like, what's mine and I take responsibility for. Not so much with the food. Yeah, I mean, we want to be tending to our bodies well. But most of us don't know how to do the middle ground, where it's like, I don't care at all, or I'm making an idol, where my health and my body, and if people like my body, is the source of rescuing me from shame. Most of us don't know how to do where the middle, where it's like, yeah, how come I don't take time for my needs? Well, if I'm being really honest, deep down, I don't feel like I deserve to be well, because if I'm just well and I'm doing okay, then I have more needs, and that means I want to be involved in life. And being fully here and being really involved with life and people and needs means that there's a risk of rejection. I'm like, that's right. Totally is. And that's where we have to stay right here, right now, 2000, whatever year you're watching this video, in the truth of, like, I might get rejected for telling the truth about how, dieting ruined my life, or this eating disorder took all this time from my life, and I was just doing the best I can with what I was told would make me happy, or help me not feel feelings or whatever. And, you know, I've made amends to myself for that. And other people are still going to be doing it around me, and they might be even threatened by me being so free. That doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong. So I told you in this video I was going to go pretty deep today, because I see where people loop and loop and loop, whether I just see it online every day. I don't always comment on that, and it's not always on my page as I see it. I see it all over the internet, related, unrelated places to what we talk about here. I see the looping, where people are doing all these defensive strategies and trauma dumping on each other, and they don't even know it. And so the curiosity has to be like, I do a lot of everything's my fault. And if you really look deeper, it's like, is that just a strategy? You know, my weight's more and it's my fault. I ate whatever I ate, XYZ, and that's why I'm so sick. It's like, sometimes, you know, sometimes it's like there's just been this progression of neglect that we've done because we don't know how to take care of ourselves, because we've been in survival mode our whole lives. Sometimes there's a percentage in there, but most of the time it's like we're still just always so busy being in survival mode that we don't know how to yield, and we don't know how to unblend from all this fear of rejection, and we just eat and weigh and under-exercise and over-exercise. We just do what we know how to do because it feels like it's something, because we don't know how to grieve. We don't know how to have compassion. You know, so anyway, I hope this helps. I hope this was just a journal full of stuff that you can take into your time to yourself and get curious. These barriers I have from getting my needs met, to slowing down, to hearing my hunger and fullness, to thought stopping that I feel fat, and actually just say, what's making me feel uncomfortable right now? If we can't even use those, I give lots of tools here, but sometimes people don't use them. So we go a step backwards. It's like, okay, how come we're not using the tools? There's all these resources online. You know, I have other groups. We have, I mean, I'm just talking about me, but like any person that's job who's already come through some of this fire here is like, hey, we want to shorten the learning curve. How come we don't reach for that? You might be hearing that statement, well, I don't deserve it. I don't have time for it. I've already tried that before. Those are strategies that even keep us from reaching for the things that would help us, that are free, low cost. Maybe they're not so low cost, but you know you need it, whatever the issue is. Yeah, so when we look at barriers, start there, like, what am I hearing in my head? What do my actions portray? If I'm to unblend from that a second, what are they portraying about what I believe about myself? I'm stuck because of some kind of reason. It's not just because I don't know enough. That's just definitely not the answer. So thank you all so much for watching. I would love to hear, again, those of you who hopped on later, I do hope you watched the beginning of this video. I was giving you all a big old shout out. So I was hoping that you received that care as well. So watch the beginning as well. Thank you for everybody here who's live, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.